The stars stretched like silver threads outside the viewing ports of the research ship, Crimson Dawn. Li Wu pressed his face against the cold metal wall and watched the endless darkness. His breath fogged the surface, making small clouds that disappeared quickly. "Move away from there, soft skin," growled Captain Vorthak as he walked past. The massive reptilian stood over 8 feet tall. His green scales caught the ship's lights like armor plates. Each step made the metal floor shake under Li Wu's feet. Li Wu stepped back quickly. He was used to this treatment. At barely 5 feet and 6 inches tall, he looked like a child next to the other crew members. His thin frame and pale skin made him stand out even more among the alien giants. "Why do they even bring humans on these missions?" asked Engineer Thax. The insect-like alien had 4 powerful arms and claws that could cut through steel. "They break so easily." Dr. Corvain, whose body looked like it was made of living crystal, made a sound like breaking glass. This was how his species laughed. "The human is only here because the Galactic Council requires all species to be represented. But look at him. One strong wind and he would blow away." Li Wu tried to ignore their words. He focused on his work instead. As the ship's xenobiologist, his job was to study alien life forms. He was good at it, but the others never seemed to notice. They only saw his small size and weak appearance. The ship's communication system made a loud beeping sound. "Captain." Vorthak moved to the control panel with quick steps. His clawed hands danced over the buttons with surprising grace for such a large creature. "We have received a distress signal," the captain announced. His voice carried through every corner of the ship. "A vessel has crashed on an unknown planet in the Helix Nebula. We are the closest ship that can help." Li Wu felt his heart beat faster. A rescue mission meant danger, and danger meant the crew would push him aside even more. They always did. This when things got serious. Park Jun, the tactical officer, rushed into the main deck. He was the only other human on the ship, but he was tall and muscular. The aliens respected his military training and combat skills. "What do we know about the planet, Captain?" "The scans show high gravity and hostile wildlife," Captain Vorthak replied. "The survivors are from an Etherian exploration ship. Their species is not built for combat or survival in harsh conditions." Li Wu knew about the Etherians. They were peaceful beings who looked like tall, graceful humans, but with skin that glowed with different colors when they communicated. They were artists and diplomats, not fighters. "How many survivors?" asked Dr. Kim Hana as she joined the group. She was the ship's medical officer and another human. Like Park Jun, she was tall and strong enough to earn some respect from the aliens. 12 survivors out of 30 crew members, the captain said. His voice was grim. "They have been trapped for 3 days. Their supplies are running low." Engineer Thax clicked his claws together in thought. "What kind of hostile wildlife are we dealing with?" "The scans are not clear," Captain Vorthak admitted. "Something large is moving near their location. The electromagnetic interference is too strong to get detailed readings." Li Wu stepped forward. "Captain, I could analyze the biosignatures from the planet's surface. My equipment might be able to identify what kind of creatures." "Stay back. Softskin," the captain interrupted. "This is work for real crew members. Your tiny hands cannot even lift proper equipment." The other aliens made sounds of agreement. Dr. Corvain's crystal body flickered with amused light patterns. "Perhaps the human can stay on the ship and count supplies while we do the real work." Li Wu felt his face grow hot with embarrassment, but he said nothing. He had learned that arguing only made things worse. Instead, he quietly moved to his workstation and began reviewing what little data they had about the planet. The planet was designated as Kepler 442c on the star charts. It was larger than Earth with gravity almost twice as strong. The atmosphere was breathable for most species, but the weather patterns showed frequent storms. Most importantly, the bioscans detected movement signatures that suggested large predators. As Li Wu studied the data, he noticed something strange. The movement patterns were not random like most animal behavior. There was intelligence behind them. Whatever was on that planet was smart enough to coordinate its actions. Captain Vorthak gathered the crew for the mission briefing. "We will take the main shuttle down to the planet's surface. Park Jun will lead the tactical response. Dr. Kim Hana will provide medical support. Engineer Thax will handle any technical problems with their crashed ship. What about Li Wu? Asked Dr. Kim Hana. The captain's scaled face showed clear disgust. The weak human will monitor from orbit. He might get hurt if we bring him along. Humans are too fragile for real danger. Li Wu watched from the shuttle bay as the rescue team prepared their equipment. They carried heavy weapons, thick armor, and powerful tools. Everything was built for beings much larger and stronger than humans. Park Jun stopped beside Li Wu before leaving. I'm sorry, he said quietly. I tried to convince them to bring you along. Your knowledge of alien biology could be helpful. It's okay, Li Wu replied, though it wasn't really okay. Just be careful down there. Something about this planet feels wrong. Park Jun nodded and joined the others. Li Wu watched the shuttle disappear into the planet's cloudy atmosphere. Then he returned to his station to monitor their progress. The first few hours went well. The rescue team reached the crash site and made contact with the Etherian survivors. But then something went wrong. Li Wu heard shouting over the communication system. It's too fast. Park Jun's voice crackled through the static. Our weapons aren't working. Fall back, Captain Vorthak roared. Everyone to the shuttle. Through his monitoring equipment, Li Wu watched the team's life signs scatter in different directions. Whatever was attacking them had separated the group. 3 crew members were moving away from the others at high speed. Captain, what's happening down there? Li Wu called into his communicator. The only answer was more shouting and the sound of something large crashing through the forest. Li Wu realized that the mighty alien crew, with all their strength and weapons, had met something even more dangerous than themselves. For the first time in his life, Li Wu wondered if being small and weak might actually be an advantage. The rescue team returned to the ship 12 hours later. They looked defeated and scared, something Li Wu had never seen before. Captain Vorthak's scales were scratched and dirty. Engineer Thax was missing one of his 4 arms. Dr. Kim Hana had bandages covering deep cuts on her face. Report, Li Wu said as they stumbled into the medical bay. Park Jun collapsed into a chair. His military uniform was torn and covered in strange blue mud. It's not like anything in our databases. The creature is massive, maybe 12 feet tall, black as space with 6 limbs that move like liquid metal. Its exoskeleton deflected our pulse weapons, Captain Vorthak added. His voice was quieter than usual. But that's not the worst part. The thing is smart. Really smart. Dr. Kim Hana finished treating Engineer Thax's wounds and looked up. It set traps for us, actual traps. It herded us into positions where it could attack from above. No animal should be able to think that way. Li Wu pulled up the bioscan data on his screen. Did you see where it came from? How it moved? It appeared from nowhere, Park Jun said. One moment the area was clear, the next moment it was there. But here's the strangest thing. It didn't try to kill us. It could have easily. Instead, it drove us away from the survivors. Territorial behavior, Li Wu muttered, making notes. It's protecting something. Captain Vorthak's head snapped up. Protecting what? There's nothing valuable on that planet. Maybe there is to the creature, Li Wu replied. He turned to face the team. Tell me exactly what happened when you first encountered it. Dr. Kim Hana sat down slowly. We found the Etherian survivors in a canyon system. They were terrified, hiding in the wreckage of their ship. Ambassador Yuna said the creature had been stalking them for 3 days. Stalking, not hunting, Li Wu noted. There's a difference. Park Jun nodded. That's what was strange. If it wanted them dead, they would be dead. Instead, it kept them trapped but alive, like it was studying them. We set up a defensive perimeter around the crash site, Engineer Thax said, flexing his remaining arms. Standard military formation. That's when the creature attacked. But it didn't attack randomly, Captain Vorthak continued. It waited until we were in position. Then it hit us in the exact spot where our formation was weakest. No wild animal could know military tactics. Li Wu felt a chill run down his spine. An intelligent predator with tactical knowledge was dangerous beyond imagination. Most species in the galaxy were either smart or strong, but rarely both. What did it look like exactly? He asked. Imagine the worst nightmare you've ever had, Dr. Kim Hana said. 6 limbs ending in claws longer than my hand, a head that looked almost skull-like, but with too many eyes. And it moved without making a sound. The eyes, Park Jun added. They tracked us individually. Not like it was looking at a group, but like it was analyzing each of us separately, figuring out our weaknesses. Captain Vorthak stood up and walked to the viewing port. I've been fighting for 30 years. I've faced war machines and battle cruisers, but this creature, it made me feel like prey for the first time in my life. Li Wu accessed the ship's computer and began cross-referencing known predator species. Nothing matched the description, but something bothered him about the creature's behavior patterns. You said it herded you into position, he said. How exactly? It blocked certain paths through the canyon, Engineer Thax explained. Dropped boulders to cut off escape routes. Always staying ahead of us, forcing us to go where it wanted us to go. That's pack hunting behavior, Li Wu said slowly. But you only saw one creature? Only one, Park Jun confirmed. But it fought, like it had backup, like it knew exactly where we would run and what we would do. Dr. Kim Hana pulled up the medical scans from the survivors. The Etherians are in terrible shape. 3 days of constant fear has pushed them to the breaking point. Ambassador Yuna said the creature appears at regular intervals, almost like it's checking on them. Checking on them, Li Wu repeated. Not hunting them, monitoring them. Captain, Vorthak turned from the viewing port. What are you thinking, human? For once, there was no mockery in the captain's voice. The failed mission had shaken his confidence in traditional strength and weapons. I think this creature is more than just a predator, Li Wu said. I think it's the apex intelligence of its planet, and I think it's trying to understand what these strangers are doing in its territory. So what do we do? Dr. Kim Hana asked. Our weapons don't work. Our tactics failed. We can't fight this thing. Maybe we don't need to fight it, Li Wu said quietly. The room fell silent. All eyes turned to the small human who had been dismissed and mocked for so long. Explain, Captain Vorthak ordered. Li Wu pulled up a map of the planet's surface. Look at the pattern of the creature's appearances. It's not random. It shows up when the survivors try to move away from the crash site but leaves them alone when they stay put. It's keeping them in one place, Park Jun realized. Exactly. The question is why. Li Wu highlighted several areas on the map. These are the locations where the creature was spotted. Notice anything? Engineer Thax leaned forward with his remaining arms. They form a circle around the canyon. A perimeter, Li Wu confirmed. This creature isn't just intelligent, it's strategic. It's treating this like a military operation. Dr. Kim Hana shook her head. But what does it want? If not to kill them, then what? Maybe it wants to communicate, Li Wu said. Think about it. An unknown species crashes on its world. Instead of killing them immediately, it studies them, learns their behavior, tests their responses. Captain Vorthak's scales rippled with doubt. You think this monster wants to talk? I think this apex predator recognizes intelligence when it sees it, Li Wu replied. And I think it's waiting for someone smart enough to understand what it's really doing. The room was quiet for a long moment. Finally, Park Jun spoke. What are you suggesting? Li Wu looked at each of them in turn. For the first time since joining the crew, he saw something other than dismissal in their eyes. He saw fear, confusion, and maybe even a little hope. I'm suggesting that someone needs to go down there and try a different approach, he said. Someone who understands that intelligence can be more dangerous than claws. Who? Captain Vorthak asked. Though his expression suggested he already knew the answer, Li Wu stood up slowly. His small frame looked even tinier next to the injured. Aliens, but his voice was steady and calm. Someone the creature won't see as a threat, he said. Someone small enough to get close without triggering its territorial instincts. Absolutely not. Captain Vorthak slammed his clawed hand on the table. I will not send the weakest crew member to face a creature that defeated my entire team. Li Wu remained calm. With respect, Captain, your team tried to fight it with strength and weapons. That approach failed. Because the creature is too powerful, Dr. Kim Hana protested. If we couldn't handle it, what makes you think you can? I don't plan to fight it, Li Wu said simply. I plan to understand it. Park Jun shook his head. Li Wu, I appreciate your courage, but this thing nearly killed all of us. You're not trained for combat. No, I'm not, Li Wu agreed. But I'm trained to study alien behavior. And everything you've told me suggests this creature is behaving like an intelligent being, not a mindless monster. Engineer Thax clicked his remaining claws nervously. Even if you're right about its intelligence, how does that help? Smart predators are more dangerous, not less. Li Wu moved to his workstation and pulled up files about Earth's history. On my planet, humans lived alongside apex predators for millions of years. We survived not because we were stronger, but because we learned to think like them. Humans are weak, Captain Vorthak stated. Your species has no natural weapons, no thick skin, no enhanced senses. How did you become the dominant species on Earth? Because we understood that survival isn't about strength, Li Wu replied. It's about intelligence, adaptation, and persistence. We learned to read the signs that other predators left behind. We studied their hunting patterns. We figured out how to coexist. Dr. Kim Hana crossed her arms. This isn't Earth, and that creature isn't from Earth. Your human techniques won't work here. Maybe not, Li Wu admitted. But what I learned studying xenobiology is that intelligent species often have more in common than different species realize. Predator behavior follows patterns across the galaxy. Captain Vorthak was quiet for a long moment. Finally, he spoke. What exactly are you proposing to do? I want to go down, to the planet alone, Li Wu said. No weapons, no armor, no threatening equipment, just my basic survival gear and my scientific instruments. The room erupted in protests. That's suicide, Park Jun shouted. The creature will kill you in seconds, Dr. Kim Hana added. You'll be defenseless. Engineer Thax clicked. Li Wu waited for them to quiet down. I'll be non-threatening. There's a difference. Captain Vorthak studied the small human carefully. Explain your logic. Every interaction you've had with this creature has been aggressive, Li Wu said. You approached its territory with weapons and military formations. You treated it as an enemy from the beginning. Because it attacked us, Park Jun protested. After you invaded its space with hostile intentions, Li Wu pointed out. From the creature's perspective, you were the threat. It responded by defending its territory. Dr. Kim Hana leaned forward. So, you think if you approach peacefully, it won't attack? I think if I approach correctly, it might be curious instead. Of defensive, Li Wu said. Intelligent predators are always curious about new things in their territory. Captain Vorthak's scales shifted color slightly, a sign he was thinking hard. This plan is insane, but our conventional approach failed. Completely. The survivors don't have much time left, Li Wu reminded them. Ambassador Yuna's last message said their food supplies will run out in 2 days. Engineer Thax made a sound of frustration. Even if the creature doesn't kill you immediately, what then? How do you plan to communicate with something that doesn't speak any known language? Li Wu smiled for the first time since the mission began. That's the interesting part. You said it set traps and used tactics. That means it communicates through actions, not just sounds. Behavior is a universal language. You're talking about body language? Dr. Kim Hana asked. More than that. I'm talking about demonstrating intelligence in ways the creature can recognize. If it's as smart as you say, it will understand when another intelligent being is trying to communicate. Park Jun stood up and paced across the room. This is the most dangerous plan I've ever heard, but I can't think of anything better. Captain Vorthak was silent for several minutes. The others waited, knowing he was weighing their options. Finally, he spoke. If you do this, you go alone. We cannot risk more crew members on such a plan. I understand, Li Wu said. And if the creature attacks you, we will not be able to help. The planet's interference blocks our transporter systems. I know the risks. You'll have one emergency beacon, the captain continued, but it will only work if you can reach high ground, away from the electromagnetic interference. Li Wu nodded. What about the survivors? If something happens to me, they'll still need rescue. We'll think of another solution, Captain Vorthak said grimly. But right now, your approach is the only new idea we have. Dr. Kim Hana stood up. I'll prepare a medical kit for you, lightweight but comprehensive. I'll check your survival gear, Park Jun added. Make sure everything is in perfect working order. Engineer Thax clicked his claws thoughtfully. I can modify your scanner to run silently. No electronic sounds to startle the creature. Li Wu felt a warmth in his chest. For the first time since joining the crew, his teammates were supporting him instead of dismissing him. Thank you, he said. All of you. Captain Vorthak approached him. The massive reptilian looked down at the small human. I still think this plan will get you killed. But I also know that our way failed completely. Maybe it's time to try the human way. 6 hours later, Li Wu stood in the shuttle bay. His pack contained only essential supplies: water, food, medical kit, and his modified scientific equipment. No weapons, no armor, nothing that could be seen as threatening. Remember, Park Jun said, if things go wrong, get to high ground and activate the beacon. We'll find a way to extract you. I will, Li Wu promised. Dr. Kim Hana handed him an extra medical scanner. This will monitor your vital signs and transmit them to the ship. At least we'll know if you're still alive. Comforting thought, Li Wu said with a weak smile. Engineer Thax gave him a small device. Emergency shelter. It deploys automatically if you're injured and can't set it up yourself. Captain Vorthak stepped forward last. Human, your species may be physically weak, but I'm beginning to think there might be other kinds of strength. Li Wu looked up at the towering captain. I hope you're right, sir. The shuttle launched toward the planet's surface. As Li Wu descended, through the cloudy atmosphere, he reviewed everything he knew about the creature. Intelligent, territorial, strategic, but not immediately lethal. It was studying the situation just like he was. The key would be showing the creature that he was, also intelligent but not a threat, that he could think and adapt but had no intention of challenging its authority in its own domain. As the shuttle touched down on the planet's surface, Li Wu took a deep breath. He was about to test a theory that could either save everyone or get him killed in the next few minutes. He stepped out onto alien soil and began walking toward the canyon where the apex predator waited. The planet's surface was unlike anything Li Wu had ever experienced. The higher gravity made each step feel like he was carrying twice his normal weight. Strange purple trees stretched toward a sky filled with 3 small moons. The air smelled of copper and ozone. Li Wu moved slowly through the alien forest. His scanner showed life signs everywhere. Small creatures hiding in the trees, underground burrowers, flying things that looked like jellyfish with wings. But all of them stayed far away from his path. They knew something dangerous lived here. After 2 hours of careful walking, Li Wu reached the edge of the canyon system. He could see the wreckage of the Etherian ship below, twisted metal scattered across the rocky ground. Somewhere down there, 12 survivors waited for rescue. Li Wu activated his communicator. This is Li Wu. I'm at the canyon rim. No sign of the creature yet. Park Jun's voice crackled through the static. Be careful. The electromagnetic interference is getting stronger. We might lose communication soon. Understood. Li Wu turned off the communicator to save power and began his descent into the canyon. The path down was treacherous. Loose rocks shifted under his feet, and the higher gravity made balance difficult. But Li Wu had grown up hiking in Earth's mountains. He knew how to read stone and find secure footing. Halfway down, he stopped. His scanner was picking up movement signatures from 3 different directions, large signatures. The creature wasn't alone after all. Li Wu sat down on a flat rock and pulled out his water bottle. He drank slowly, making no sudden movements. If the creatures were watching him, he wanted them to see that he wasn't afraid. Fear made predators more aggressive. A shadow passed over him. Li Wu looked up to see something impossible. A creature was moving along the canyon wall above him, but it wasn't walking on the surface. It was somehow clinging to the vertical rock face with all 6 limbs. The creature was exactly as the rescue team had described. 12 feet tall, covered in black armor-like skin, with 6 arms that moved like liquid metal. Its head was skull-shaped, but with 4 eyes arranged in a diamond pattern. But Li Wu noticed something the others had missed. The creature's movements were too graceful for something that large. Each step was placed with perfect precision. Its head moved constantly, tracking sounds and scents from all directions. This wasn't just intelligence. This was the movement of an apex predator that had never known fear. Li Wu slowly reached into his pack and pulled out his notebook. He began sketching the creature's posture and movement patterns. The creature stopped moving and tilted its head, watching him. For several minutes, they studied each other in silence. The creature seemed puzzled by Li Wu's lack of fear or aggressive behavior. It moved closer, using handholds in the rock that Li Wu couldn't even see. When the creature was close enough that Li Wu could hear its breathing, it made a sound. Not a roar or growl, but something almost like a question. A complex series of clicks and whistles that clearly carried meaning. Li Wu looked up from his notebook and made eye contact with the creature. Then he did something that would have seemed insane to his crewmates. He whistled back. Not the same pattern. Li Wu knew better than to try to speak a language he didn't understand. Instead, he whistled a simple rising tone that meant curiosity in many earth animal species. The creature's 4 eyes focused on him with laser intensity. It made the same sound again, but softer this time. Li Wu responded with a different whistle, one that meant peaceful intentions. The creature tilted its massive head to one side, clearly thinking. What happened next surprised them both. The creature dropped down from the wall to land on the path just 10 feet away from Li Wu. At close range, it was even more impressive. Its claws were longer than Li Wu's hands, and its muscles rippled under the dark exoskeleton. But it made no move to attack. Instead, it crouched down to bring its head closer to Li Wu's level. Then it did something remarkable. It pointed at Li Wu's notebook with one clawed finger. Li Wu understood. The creature wanted to see what he had been drawing. Slowly, he turned the notebook around so the creature could see the sketches. The creature's eyes moved across the page, taking in every detail. Then it made a sound that Li Wu realized was approval. It had recognized its own image in the drawings. Li Wu turned to a fresh page and began drawing something else. He sketched the canyon, the crashed ship, and small figures representing the Etherian survivors. Then he drew the creature standing guard over them. The creature watched every line. When Li Wu finished, it reached out with one massive claw and gently touched the drawing of itself. Then it pointed to the real canyon below. "You're protecting them," Li Wu said softly. "Aren't you?" The creature's head snapped up. It had understood the tone, if not the words. It studied Li Wu's face carefully, then made a series of complex sounds that clearly meant something important. Li Wu wished he had brought translation equipment, but he also knew that machines often failed to capture the meaning behind communication. This conversation was happening on a deeper level than words. The creature stood up and began walking down the path toward the canyon floor. After a few steps, it stopped and looked back at Li Wu. The message was clear. "Follow me." Li Wu packed his notebook and followed the apex predator deeper into the canyon. As they walked, he noticed other creatures watching from hiding spots. Smaller versions of the large one, but still bigger than Li Wu. A family group, maybe, or a pack. The crashed Etherian ship came into view around a bend in the path. Li Wu could see the survivors huddled near the wreckage. They looked terrified but unharmed. Ambassador Yuna, the leader of the Etherian expedition, spotted them first. Her skin flashed bright red with alarm colors when she saw Li Wu walking beside the creature that had been their captor. "Stay calm," Li Wu called out. "It's not going to hurt us." The creature made a sound that might have been amusement. It walked to the center of the crash site and sat down on its haunches. Then it began making a series of sounds and gestures. Li Wu watched carefully. The creature was pointing to different areas around the canyon, then to the survivors, then to itself. It was explaining something. "It's trying to tell us something about territory," Li Wu said to Ambassador Yuna. "I think it's explaining why it kept you here." The creature stood up and walked to a section of the canyon wall. It pointed to markings that Li Wu had missed before. They looked like scratches in the rock, but they were too regular to be natural. "Those are territorial markers," Li Wu realized. "This whole area is its nesting ground." The creature made an approving sound. Then it did something extraordinary. It walked over to Li Wu and knelt down so they were at eye level. With one massive claw, it gently touched Li Wu's forehead. Images flooded into Li Wu's mind. Not words or sounds, but pure concepts and emotions. He saw the canyon as the creature saw it, a safe place where its family lived and raised their young. He felt the creature's confusion when strangers crashed into their territory. He understood its decision to keep them safe while figuring out what to do with them. The creature wasn't a monster. It was a parent protecting its children. When the mental contact ended, Li Wu staggered slightly. The creature steadied him with gentle care, then made a sound that Li Wu somehow knew meant brother. "You recognize something in me," Li Wu said in wonder. "Something familiar." The creature's response came not in sounds, but in another brief mental touch. This time, Li Wu saw images of hunting. Not the ambush hunting that most predators used, but persistence hunting, the long chase, the careful tracking, the patient wearing down of prey over vast distances. It was the hunting style that had made humans the dominant species on Earth. The apex predator of this world hunted the same way humans did. It recognized Li Wu as a fellow persistence hunter despite their completely different appearances. "We're the same kind of predator," Li Wu whispered. "That's why you didn't kill the others. You knew they weren't like us." The creature made a complex sound that conveyed satisfaction and recognition. Then it stood up and gestured to the survivors. The message was clear. Now that understanding had been reached, it was time to solve the problem of what to do with the peaceful strangers who had accidentally invaded the nesting grounds. The ceremony began at sunset. Li Wu didn't understand what was happening at first. The apex predator had led him to a flat area near the canyon wall, where strange symbols were carved into the rock. More creatures emerged from hidden caves, adults and young ones all watching silently. The largest creature, the one Li Wu had first encountered, moved to the center of the circle. It began making complex sounds, deep and rhythmic like a song. The other creatures joined in, creating harmony that echoed off the canyon walls. "What's happening?" Ambassador Yuna whispered. Her skin flickered with nervous blue patterns. "I think it's a ritual of some kind," Li Wu replied softly. The lead creature approached Li Wu and extended one massive claw. In it was a piece of black stone, polished smooth and warm to the touch. The creature placed it carefully in Li Wu's hands, then touched its forehead to his dot. Images flooded Li Wu's mind again. This time he saw the history of the creature's species. They were called the Vorthak, the same name as their ship's captain but pronounced differently. They had ruled this world for millions of years through intelligence and cooperation rather than strength alone. The mental contact deepened, and Li Wu understood what was happening. The Vorthak were offering him adoption into their pack. The stone in his hands was a symbol of brotherhood, given only to those who proved themselves worthy through intelligence and courage. In the creature's ancient language, Li Wu had become Kethmar, pack-brother. When the ceremony ended, the lead Vorthak turned to the Etherian survivors. Through careful gestures and the mental link he now shared with Li Wu, he explained the situation. "Your ship crashed in our nesting grounds," Li Wu translated. The Vorthak were protecting their young from what they thought might be invaders, but now they understand you meant no harm. Ambassador Yuna's skin shifted to grateful green patterns. We're sorry for the intrusion. We had no idea this was their territory. The Vorthak leader made a series of sounds that Li Wu interpreted as forgiveness. Then came a more complex message. He says they will help repair your ship and guide you to safe territory, Li Wu continued. But in return you must mark this area as protected in your star charts. No more ships should land here. Of course, Ambassador Yuna agreed immediately. We'll make sure the Galactic Council designates this as a protected world. The Vorthak leader nodded approval, then made another gesture toward the canyon rim. Li Wu looked up to see lights descending from the sky. The Crimson Dawn's shuttle was approaching. Li Wu, come in. Park Jun's voice crackled through the communicator. We lost your signal for hours. What's your status? Li Wu activated his communicator. All survivors are safe. The situation has been resolved through negotiation. Negotiation? Captain Vorthak's surprised voice joined the channel. With that monster? Not a monster, Captain. An apex predator protecting its family, just like any intelligent species would. The shuttle landed nearby and the rescue team emerged cautiously. Captain Vorthak, Park Jun, Dr. Kim Hana, and Engineer Thax all stared in amazement as Li Wu stood surrounded by massive alien predators who made no threatening moves. How did you do this? Dr. Kim Hana asked in wonder. I listened, Li Wu said simply, and I recognized something familiar. The Vorthak leader approached Captain Vorthak. Despite sharing similar names, the two species looked nothing alike. The ship's captain was reptilian and aggressive, while the Vorthak was mammalian and thoughtful. Through Li Wu's translation, the Vorthak leader spoke to the rescue team. He wants to know why you attacked his territory with weapons instead of trying to communicate first. Li Wu interpreted. Captain Vorthak's scales flushed with embarrassment. We thought you were a mindless predator. We didn't know you were intelligent. He says that's the mistake most species make, Li Wu continued. They see size and claws and assume there's no intelligence behind them. But the most dangerous hunters in the galaxy are the ones who think. Engineer Thax clicked his remaining claws nervously. What does he mean by dangerous hunters? The Vorthak leader looked directly at Li Wu as he answered. Li Wu smiled as he translated. He says, humans are perfect examples, small, weak-looking, no natural weapons. But you hunt with your minds instead of your claws. You never give up once you start tracking something. That makes you more dangerous than any creature with fangs or armor. Park Jun frowned. Humans aren't predators. We're explorers and scientists. The Vorthak leader made a sound that might have been laughter. His response made Li Wu grin. He says that's exactly what makes you so effective. Your prey never sees you coming because you don't look dangerous. But once you decide you want something, knowledge, territory, a solution to a problem, you pursue it until you get it. That's apex predator behavior. Dr. Kim Hana looked thoughtful. I never thought of scientific research as hunting. But it is, Li Wu realized. We track down information, follow clues, pursue answers across the galaxy. We're persistence hunters who hunt knowledge instead of food. Captain Vorthak studied Li Wu with new respect. You're saying this creature recognizes humans as fellow predators? Not just fellow predators, Li Wu corrected. Fellow apex predators. The Vorthak rule this world through intelligence and cooperation. Humans rule Earth the same way. We're both species that became dominant, not through strength but through thinking. The Vorthak leader stepped forward and placed one massive claw on Captain Vorthak's shoulder. Through Li Wu, he delivered a final message. He says the galaxy would be a safer place if more species understood this. Most conflicts happen because beings assume strength and size determine dominance. But the real rulers of any world are the ones smart enough to adapt and persistent enough to outlast their enemies. Over the next few hours, the Vorthak helped repair the Etherian ship with tools and techniques that impressed even Engineer Thax. Their technology was different from galactic standard, but incredibly sophisticated. As the rescue operation concluded, The Vorthak leader gave Li Wu a final gift. It was a small device that would allow them to communicate across space. The mental link they shared could work over vast distances if enhanced by Vorthak technology. "You are always welcome in our territory, Pack Brother," the creature said through the device. "And if you ever need the help of fellow hunters, you need only call." Back aboard the Crimson Dawn, the atmosphere had completely changed. The crew members who had once mocked Li Wu's small size and apparent weakness now looked at him with a mixture of awe and wariness. "I don't understand," Dr. Kim Hana said as they prepared to leave the system. "How did you know that approach would work?" Li Wu fingered the black stone the Vorthak leader had given him. "Because I finally understood what humans really are. We're not the weakest species in the galaxy. We're one of the most dangerous. We just don't look like it." "Captain," Vorthak approached him. The massive reptilian's entire demeanor had changed. "I owe you an apology, human. I judged your species by appearance rather than capability." "Most people do," Li Wu said without bitterness. "That's actually one of our advantages." Park Jun shook his head in amazement. "All this time we thought humans needed protection in the galaxy because we're physically weak. But weakness can be strength," Li Wu replied. "People underestimate us. They don't see us as threats until it's too late. By the time they realize how persistent and adaptable we are, we've already figured out how to defeat them." Engineer Thax flexed his remaining claws thoughtfully. "The Vorthak could have killed all of us easily, but they chose not to. They were showing restraint." "Exactly," Li Wu said. "True apex predators don't need to prove their dominance through violence. They're confident enough in their abilities to choose when and how to use them." Dr. Kim Hana pulled up the medical scans from their encounters with the Vorthak. "These creatures are incredibly powerful, but they never used more force than necessary. They were always in complete control of the situation." "That's what I recognized in them," Li Wu explained. "The same quality that makes humans successful. We don't fight battles we can't win, and we don't use more energy than we need to. We're efficient predators." As the ship jumped to hyperspace, Li Wu looked out at the stars and smiled. For the first time in his career, he understood his place in the galaxy. Humans weren't the weak species that needed protection from stronger beings. They were the quiet hunters that other species should be afraid of. The communication device from the Vorthak leader chimed softly. A message appeared in Li Wu's mind, transmitted across the vastness of space. "Safe travels, Pack Brother. The galaxy is full of prey that doesn't know it's being hunted." Li Wu chuckled and sent back his own message. "And most of them still think humans are harmless." The device chimed once more with what could only be described as approving laughter from his new brother among the stars. Captain Vorthak filed his report to the Galactic Council that night. For the first time in his career, he recommended that human crew members be given leadership roles on dangerous missions. His reasoning was simple. Humans may look weak, but they think like apex predators. In a galaxy full of beings who rely on strength and size, sometimes you need someone who hunts with their mind instead of their claws. The report concluded with a warning that would eventually change how the entire galaxy viewed humanity.